Hey, it's me. And today I want to talk to you about growing out seedling trees and doing root cuttings from scion wood to grow your own baby trees that are clones of their mama. So let's jump right into it with clones. Cuttings. Um, Let me find one. Jeez. There are three plants that I know of that grow really well from just branches cut. The first one, the easiest one for me, is figs. So in the spring, I cut this branch. It was about this big. I cut it off one of my fig trees, dipped the end of the branch in some rooting hormone. Oh, look, roots coming out the bottom. Dipped in rooting hormone, stuck it in the dirt, kept it watered, kept it warm. This thing, it even has baby figs on it. Look at that. So this thing is about maybe 6 months old. It's already making a little fig. So figs are the easiest for me to do that with. They work great. I don't know what these things are. Let me find one. This thing, somebody knows the name of this. These do the same thing. You don't even need rooting hormone. Cut a branch, stick it in dirt, got a whole nother plant. And it'll be exactly the same as the mama plant. The other thing that's really good at doing this is grapes. And with grapes, the easiest thing with grapes, let me find one here. Here we go. There's a grape cutting. Over here. So you cut the branches, rooting hormone, and it's good to do this with the green growth. Dip the tip in rooting hormone, stick it in a tall pot, keep it watered. I have 3 more grapevines in there. They're exactly like the grapevine I took them from. They're the same plant. There's no difference between them. The thing about taking cuttings and rooting them is that you are getting the exact same plant as the mama plant. The other plant, that is very good for this is mulberries. A lot of times you can just cut a mulberry stick. If it's like rainy season, you're pruning your mulberries, you just cut the sticks and stick them in the dirt and they will grow on their own. So they don't even need a lot of help. Now, I've had a lot of failures with mulberries. They don't do that very well for me. So I'm not going to show you one because mine died. Um, it's very different from something that puts out suckers. Now, there are plants like lilac. This is a lilac, right? What lilacs do, sumac, gooseberries, locusts, a few other trees, is they put out long roots and then those roots make a new baby tree, a sucker they call them. You can cut that root, dig down a little, chop the root, plant that root with the little part that was sticking up. You can see all the roots in this cup, right? So this is a whole new tree. It's exactly like the mama lilac tree, same tree. Now, that's cuttings, rootings, clones, and suckers. Those will all grow back just like the tree that you took them from. The problem is that that doesn't work on every kind of plant, every kind of tree. There's a lot of them, where you can't do that. The rooting hormone won't make them make roots. They don't make roots on their own. So, like apple, pear, peach, persimmon, plum, all of these trees, they do not grow from a cutting. So, your solution to that is 2 things. You can grow a seedling, which is kind of a crapshoot. I've done this, and I'm doing it right here. So, this is an apple seedling. It's planted seed. They do need to be cold for a little while. Most of the fruiting trees, they need to be cold, the seeds. They need to be in the fridge for a few months. They need to have winter. That's what triggers them to start growing and germinating. So this was an apple that was in cold storage for months. When I ate it, I took the seeds out and we planted them. Germinated this nice tall pot. Gives it plenty of room to make roots. And then this fall, I will plant this in the ground. I'll wait a year. I might cut part of it and graft it, because that's part 2. If I waited for this to make apples on its own, I might be waiting 7 or 8 years, max. 5 years minimum. Do I want to wait 5 years to find out this is a crappy apple? No. I do have about a dozen baby apple trees in here, and about a dozen baby grapes planted from seed. I've also got some cherries, peaches, things like that. All these fruit trees planted from seed. The other half of this is that it takes forever to go from seedling. How much do I cost? 0. Art by Mox. Anyway, the other thing is that when you grow from seedling, it takes a very long time for fruit to come. So you have these little seedlings. Let me see if I can get you facing them. You have all these little seedlings here, yeah? So they're, babies, little baby trees and things. Figs, like I showed you, and cuttings that are rooted, they might make fruit, well, right away, within a few months, as soon as it's the right season. But a seedling tree from a seed, germinated, could take years. So what we're going to do is we're going to speed them up. The way we're going to do that is we're going to have a mature tree right there. I don't know if you can see, but right there is an Arkansas black apple tree. It's about 5-6 years old. It made some flowers this year, and next to it is another apple tree, which is about 6 years old. Those 2 trees, excuse my mess, those 2 trees are old enough to make apples. One of them has made apples this year. It's got apples on it. So if I take the baby seedling and I cut off a section with some buds on it, and then I cleft graft it onto an adult apple tree, the hormones in the adult apple tree will tell the little stick that it's an adult. And so within a year or 2, I will have some apples, and I can tell if it's a good or bad apple. If it's delicious, I'm growing that seedling out, I'm going to baby it, I'm putting it in the ground. If it's not a very good apple that comes off of that tree, I have a choice. I can use it as rootstock to graft a different kind of delicious apple on top, or I can give it away to someone that doesn't care if the apples taste good, someone who's making cider, someone who's feeding like livestock or wildlife. A lot of people will plant these as deer attractants and stuff like that. So that apple tree, if it doesn't make good apples on the graft, on the adult tree, I won't keep it. If it makes good apples on that graft, I will keep the baby tree, I will grow it out. It's gonna be great. It'll be part of my collection. This junk back here, this is the workstation for all the outdoor projects. So there's a lot of crap back here. We're painting the house, I'm rebuilding parts of the greenhouse. There's just so much shit that I'm doing. So ignore all this. I'm gonna show you my grafting now. Every year I graft. And grafting is not as hard as it seems. The only things you need to graft is a stick that is dormant. So a stick from a tree that is the same species of tree. And it needs to have been cut in the winter when the tree is asleep. So you wait until your tree goes to sleep, dead of winter, very cold out. Then you go out there and you cut a stick. And you want something like this. Fresh growth, about as thick as a pencil. Oh my God. Man, I keep throwing you guys around today. Are we upside down? I don't even know. What on earth? That's horrible. I'm so sorry. Sorry I threw you at the ground. Anyway, it's got to be pencil thickness. Let's get through here. My garden paths are very narrow this year. So you have your pencil thickness scion, it's called. That cutting from the other tree, the stick that you're going to graft. It's about as thick as a pencil or your index finger. And And it was taken in the winter when the trees were asleep. You wait. You don't graft it right away. It'll die. You take the only other things you need, buddy tape or parafilm. So it's like a wax tape, and it stretches out in the heat. Let me see if I can get you any taller here. Can I? Yes, there it is. So here is the buddy tape. See that plastic? It's not, it's wax. And you wrap the entire scion in it. Then at the base, you're going to cut into a wedge, right? You cut that scion into a wedge. There are a lot of videos showing you different ways of doing this. Cleft graft is what you want to look for because that's the easiest beginner way. And then you're going to cut the place where you're going to graft it by kind of getting, I just use an X-Acto knife, you know, like a box cutter. You're going to take that and you're going to get it in there and wedge it down until you split the place where you're going to graft it into 2 bits. And I'm going to get in close here and unwrap one graft and just show you what the base of it looks like. This is below the graft. These leaves can go, they're below the graft. Okay, so here we go. Let me get you off here. Oh, what a nightmare, I'm sorry. So here is our graft. This is a Clark's crab. It's a yellow crab apple, and this is a winter banana apple tree. That's actually the name of it. So what I did was when the tree began to wake up, I cut this into a wedge and I sliced this in half, this part, and I jammed it in there tight. And you can see the tree has made some callus to hold itself together. I made that as tight as I could around it. Then I made a little label saying what it is. That's literally just a little chunk of, like, I think it's a can or something, or a piece of like thick aluminum foil. And I just wrote on it with an empty ballpoint pen. Easy enough, right? That is the easiest graft. They usually take pretty good if you do them at the right time. And again, the right time, you cut the graft, the scion, when your trees are asleep, and then you attach it when your trees are waking up. So this is asleep, but all of this will have buds opening and leaves coming out. And that is the best time to do apple trees. Now, things like peaches, apricots, stuff like that, it might be a different time. Some things you have to do in the heat of the summer, some things you have to do really early. But apples, plums, pears, as soon as the tree starts making little leaf buds, you can put your graft on. This you keep in the fridge until you're ready to put it on. I'll show you a plum graft that's healed, because as they heal, they look real ugly at first, right? They look like, you know, you cut a chunk and your tree has a big lumpy callus and all that kind of stuff. So right here is a graft. This is a green gauge graft. I kept that label, and it's been put on this Italian plum. Sorry if that made you seasick. Let's get in here. In here you can see, if I wipe away this plastic, there it is. You can see that that graft is invisible. Like, you can't even tell that was grafted. It was right there. And it's pretty much gone. The trunk, the bark, the branch covers it over after a while and heals over it. If you use parafilm only, then eventually it will fall off on its own. You don't have to remove it. It'll just come off. If you use anything else like tape or plastic or, I don't know, any other junk, it won't come off on its own. The only thing I occasionally do, and I'm going to show you the stuff here. The only thing I occasionally do is, if it's very hot out, I will give it an extra wrap of something. So I have this little, there's my X-Acto knife, and I use this to split the branch I'm going to attach the graft to, and to whittle the graft into a wedge. This is cheap buddy tape. Buddy tape or parafilm is what you want to use. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see, but if my hand is on it, it gets warm and it gets very, very, very stretchy. And as it stretches, let's see if I can hold it here. As it stretches, it gets very thin, very thin. So you want to stretch it out so it's very, very, very thin. Any place like that, any place there's a bud. So the bud can break through that really easily. And then the scion branch can make its own leaves and stuff. The only thing I do is if it's hot out, I'll take this stuff. This is just like the athlete vet med flex stuff. And I'll just make one wrap of this around the part where it's actually the graft. It's white. That's why I'm using white. It reflects light and it keeps the graft cool so that the hot sun won't be beating on it and melting the wax in that stuff, the buddy tape underneath. And that way, the graft stays cool. It doesn't dry out. You have to wrap the entire scion so that it doesn't dry out and die. They can do that. I'll show you one. I had a few failures this year because I didn't wrap them very well. And also this one, it's incompatible. This is a plum tree. And this is a cherry branch I grafted onto it. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see, let me get in here. As you can see, it did not take, it's dead, right? So it didn't work. Grafting a cherry onto a plum just doesn't work. You want to graft a plum to a plum. Stone fruit, sometimes you can do like a plum to a peach or something like that, but cherry doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So I learned my lesson with cherry and plum this year. So same species, different varieties. Scion, harvested in winter. Tree just waking up in the spring. Store your scion wrapped and kept in a plastic bag in your fridge until you're ready to use it. Don't let it get warm. You don't need to water it or put any extra water in. As long as you've wrapped the branches beforehand, it also makes it a little easier when you're grafting. So if you can do cuttings, if it's mulberry, fig, mulberry, fig, whatever that flowery plant is. I think sometimes rosemary, you can do it. Grapes are good for it. If you can't do that, look for suckers, like a sumac. Staghorn sumac does it. Mulberries sometimes do it. Lilac loves to do it. And if you can't do either of those, try to plant seedlings. Those seedlings they will be different from the parent fruit. The parent fruit is cross-pollinated, more than one kind of apple, peach, whatever. So it will not be exactly like the fruit you got the seeds from. Might be shitty, might be great, no way to know until the tree grows out. So you plant those seedlings, nurture them, get them in the ground, and as soon as they are pencil thick and it's cold out and they go to sleep, you take your cutting so that you can graft them onto a mature tree. That mature tree is your nurse tree, and you're going to use it to make sure how good those apples or peaches or whatever, how good those things are before you plant that tree in the ground and start raising it as a full-size tree. An apple planted from seed will be full-sized apple tree. It will be a big, big tree. But you can always graft it onto a semi-dwarf or dwarfing tree, rootstock. It'll keep it small. And it'll make it fruit faster, and then you can taste it. And then you know what you're using up all your space on. So, growing new fruit, that's the way to do it. As far as the seeds, if you want to grow from fruit seeds, put them in your fridge for a few months, 2 months, and then plant them. Or put them in pots, leave them outside for the winter. They'll come out in spring. Or put them in the freezer as soon as you get them. Put them in the fridge, the freezer as soon as you get them, and then plant them out. Some people just put them right in the ground. I know with peach seeds especially, a lot of times you can just stick them right in the ground where you want them, a little pile of them, and in the spring they will come up and you'll have a little baby peach tree. They're the notorious ones for that. Plums do it too. And suckers, of course. You dig your suckers, you move them around, and suddenly you've got a whole thicket of lilac or sumac or mulberry. So these things are, that's how you get new fruit trees for free or cheap. It's time, energy, and work, effort, but there's no money involved in it really. Unless you're buying an apple. Buy an apple. Ask someone to give you an apple. Take the seeds out in the fridge, put them in a pot. You're halfway there. You can always ask people who have delicious fruit if you can have scions, cuttings taken in winter from their tree. If you put in one bare root apple, you buy one, you can put 3 or 4 varieties on it, grafting. And it's still going to be good, and it'll probably make all of those kinds of apples. So that's another good way. Get one tree, spend the money on one, and then ask people to trade. I have Arkansas Black. Can we trade scion? Because I would like to grow Wolf River, whatever the hell kind of name of the fruit you want. And then you just ask people, do you have this kind? I have this kind. Can we trade? And it's usually here, February is when you're taking your scion cuttings. January, February, the coldest time. You want to cut those chunks with at least 3 buds, and you want them to be about pencil thick. And that's it. That's it. I can't think of anything else to say about these little baby trees. But we have a few that are successful, so I'm all on board with this. And my grafts from previous years have all produced, so it's a good way to make it work.